Hey, everybody. Wanted to look a little bit at these UFO reportings that show up that are like little balls of light or little spheres that kind of follow everybody or follow airplanes around or are interested in things. And I find their origin kind of interesting because they were first seen in World War II. Now, at the time, World War II happened, the German technology was far beyond the Allies. I mean, it took basically the resources of the world to finish that war. And Allied aircraft, a lot of Allied aircraft would report these little balls of light that were following them around. And um, at the time, everybody went, "What the heck are those things?" And there's never really been a good answer to it. They were actually given the term Foo Fighter before the band had the name Foo Fighter, and because nobody really knew what they were, so they just kind of made up a word for it, and these things showed up right there, and there's a World War II image, right? So they're not going to be great because we don't have the cameras we had today. Here's supposedly one following another aircraft. Here's a couple of them flying in formation. Now, um, what were they? Well, nobody really ever figured it out. Nobody ever really got a good answer to it. And did they follow the Germans around? I don't know, because the Germans kind of lost that war, and a lot of records were destroyed, or classified away forever, and they're still not out. But you know, when you have a country that is throwing experimental money at just, hey, try to figure out new stuff that can be used militarily, sometimes you get these one-off programs that are thrown out there. I have no real explanation for what those things are. There were suppositions of things like, oh, they were remote controlled, they were, all kinds of other stuff. And I can't believe remote controlled, at least not in the time frame these took place, because they were trying at first to figure out how to do the the V2 or V1 as a remote controlled missile, and they couldn't figure it out. So originally they were actually going to put a pilot in it who would eject at the last second, and would guide the thing in. So I can't get my head wrapped around remote control, just because they were trying that on other programs and kind of failed. You'd think if they failed on one, they probably failed on another. But the German Foo Fighters are ones that are kind of interesting to me. I'm sure there's a technology explanation for it, but trying to put my head, and today, if you said, "Hey, go figure out how to do this," I'd be, "Hey, no problem, right? We could do this sort of stuff today." But in World War II, with the technology available, it would have been a lot harder. Now, a lot of I don't know if I want to say interesting, but a lot of technology that was used by the Germans still doesn't really have really good explanations. There's a lot of things that are still not well understood, because when the war ended, people just wanted to forget about it. Like, okay, I need to move on, right? I don't want to dig into too much. So, if anybody has seen an explanation for these things, I'd love to hear it, because remember, you have to use your head and say World War II level at the time frame this was occurring. How would this have been done technologically? And I'd love to hear explanations for that, because that one I don't have any explanation for, but it's certainly an interesting one. And so many people saw them. There were so many reports of them. It's kind of hard to believe it wasn't real. Could it be ice crystals? Could it be some kind of after effect of, hey, we were moving quickly? Anything could be true, but there were so many reports of them that it lends itself to a moment of, I need to think about this a little bit, and I'd love to have some if anybody has a thought, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, the World War II German Foo Fighters, not one I can explain. Maybe there's more. Maybe there is an explanation. I'm just not thinking of it. But there they are.